Hey everybody, this video is going to show you how to choose a character, gender, or whatever you want between two things at the beginning of the game and then use that throughout the game. It was a request, so sorry for the background noise. The window's open, so it's just going to be loud. Alright, so this is a little convoluted in my opinion, but this is how you do it. If it were up to me, I would say just use Fungus and Unity. It would be way easier, but yeah, let's do it this way. So we're going to bring in our male and female. So say male for you to choose from. Okay. So we have our characters in there. We're just going to use the generic background image to start with. And then we're going to go in and we're going to make a variable for gender. So you can name this gender if you wanted to. But I'm just going to use one variable for both, and one's going to have an addition of 1 and the other's going to be 0. So I'm going to name it female so I can remember that female is the 1, which will make sense later. So I assigned that variable female and I had it start at 0. So we're going to start with some text. Choose your gender. Okay, so we're going to have a button. We're going to have, a branch button for both genders, and then we're going to have an image for both genders. So branch button, join scene. And then we're going to have a label for both. So you have 2 branches, 2 join scenes, and 2 labels. And hopefully this will all make sense once we do it. So first label is going to be male character. The second one is going to be female character. So our labels are labeled. So the first one will be male. Let's say handsome man. That's who we want to be. We're going to put it between these 2 desks. If I were doing this for real, I would do positioning to make it easier, but I'm not doing this for real, so I'm not going to bother. Lovely lady. And we'll put her, I don't know if it's spelled handsome right. Okay. So then join scene, male, that we added in. I made him way too big, so put him here. And a lady. I can't remember where I put me. So we'll say over here, and if it's off, we'll live with it. Okay. All right. So we're gonna say yeah. Let's take these off. I can't stand when it does that. Okay, so now that you have your choices, you have to have a place for those choices to go to determine what's going to happen after. So we are at the label for male. We're going to do female first because that's the one we said we were going to add the point to. So the first thing I always do is exit all. We need all those people to leave the screen, and only the one you want to be there. And if you do it at the end here, I want to stop. If you do it at the end, it's going to disappear before you pick. So I always exit all my characters at the beginning of everything, every label, just to make sure only the people that are supposed to be there are there. And then we're going to say variable, process variable. So the variable is going to be female. We're going to add 1. So we're going to have a label for after we pick our gender. And that is going to be ask name, because that's the next thing we're going to do. So we're going to process that. We're going to join the scene again, even though we exited. We could have just exited him, but it's, for me, I just like to make sure everybody is gone. And so I always just bring everybody out just to be on the safe side. You chose a female. Okay. And so now we're going to jump to the label. I know, it feels so convoluted, but it makes sense once you get it all together, I think. And then we're going to push a stop after that. So for the man, since we're going to use the same, and the jump is going to be if the condition of female is equal to 1. So it will only go with her in the frame if the condition is equal to 1, which it should be because we said add 1. Okay? So for the male, what we're going to do is the same thing. We're going to say exit all. And then we're going to say join scene male. So basically what we're doing here is we're saying we're assigning a variable to one of them. And then we're deciding which one of them is going to be in the frame based off of that for the future. I should have really went back and edited these smaller, but I didn't. Okay, and then he doesn't get any process because he's going to just be 0. So if the condition is true that female is equal to 0, because we didn't add 1 like we did here. So and we got to put a stop in. So the way this is going to work is if you pick male, it's going to go to the male one, and then it's going to jump to this label. And if you pick female, it's going to go to the female one, it's going to add this +1, and it's going to jump to this label. And in the case of the male one, it's going to take away the female avatar, and in the case of the female one, it's going to take away the male avatar. So now that we're at this label, let's see if it works. We're going to put in a text that says, what is your name? Okay, so let's see if this works. Let's choose the handsome man. Okay, so he's just there by himself. You're now a man. And I would take away all these loading times. I'm not great, I don't love loading times on avatars. Okay, so now it just shows her. Picked a female, it just shows the female. Okay, so now we're going to do where we're going to put in where you can put your name. I have a whole video on this, so I'm not going to go through it that, explicitly. I'm just going to do it. So we're going to put a variable for name, and this is a string. Okay, so we're going to put in an input box. If I can remember, I don't use this very much, so I can remember where it is. input box. Input box. Let's just do it all real fast. Image button. Stop. Label. Commit input. Page break. Okay. And all of that is in a whole different video where you can see why we did all of that. So this label is going to be named submit name. This input box is going to be attached to the variable name. And we're going to put it here. Maybe over here. I can't remember where I put him. Okay. So we have our input box with our name as variable assigned to it. Now, if we would have named that variable input, we would put the word input right here. Okay? This is the name of the variable we put it as. Okay? So we're going to say, so they put in their name here. It committed the input, so now we know what it is. And so now we're going to check that with a Tyrannoscript. So the person is going to say, oh, your name is now this is a little confusing. I'm putting name here again because that's the name of the variable. If I would have named the variable input, I would put the word input right there. This is the name of the variable. That was confusing because it shows up as a name. And then we're going to put this in here so someone has to click it for something to happen. Okay, let's see. Let's see if it works. We're going to be a man. My name is Clyde. Oh, where's my, I forgot to set up my image box, image button. Let's pick a different one. These buttons. So I also had to put where the target for that button is going to go. Sorry everybody, let's do it again. Choose your gender. What's your name? Oh, your name is Clyde? Okay. So let's say we want to use this later. We want to bring them in a scene that happens, right? So we're going to start a new scene just to see how you have to do all of this every time you want to add them in, which is why this is kind of a complicated way to do it. So I'm going to exit everybody. Let's add in a new background. Let's go to the museum. And then we're going to have two people there that's not us. Is that so? Okay. So we're going to say change background. Pick that background that we just chose. And we're going to say join scenes. There's Sue. Kylo. And let's say they're talking about us, okay? So it's going to go the same way. Tyranobuilder. Sue is like, hey, have you seen, and then we're going to put the same thing in for our name. And then Kylo was like, not yet. Okay. And then we go back to having a label for if you chose the female and if you chose the male. So that thing that we did earlier, we're going to do again. Here you're going to have a jump if you're going to have a female, jump if you're going to have a male. Because you have to do the ifs through the jump, because there is no if. I mean, there is if you do script, but it kind of leads to a label, so to me it's the same thing. And then you're going to have a label for what happens after these. So this label is going to be enter male. This one's going to be enter female. And this is going to be resume scene, which is going to be everything that happens. All of this in between is just to enter whichever character you chose. So the scene is going to be let's see. We gotta have a stop. Okay. So this one is gonna be if we have a man enter, which we remember this is female, so that means this value is 0. And we're gonna have, in this case, this is gonna be enter female if the female is equal to 1. Okay? So that's going to jump us to this enter man. We're going to have to do all of that again. So we're going to say if we have enter man, we now join scene, our male. And so now he's going to be there. And then we're going to say jump. We don't have to conditional jump in this case because it's going from where we conditional jump to this label. So it's not necessary. It's just we have to say the target is resume scene. And stop. So for female, we're going to say join scene. I hope this makes sense. Positioning tool. Okay, why is he here? Stopped. He shouldn't be there. I think it's a thing that's happening with the view. I'm not going to worry until we see it's a problem. And then we're going to say jump to resume scene. And then on resume scene, we're going to say and then in this case, we're going to do this to show the name you chose. think that's going to be in quotations. Can't remember. If it doesn't work, we'll go take it out. Sorry, I'm late. Alright, let's see if it worked. Start with the nail. Oh, I know what I did. Sorry, everybody. I always forget to do this. So it doesn't pause. But we saw that work. Let's try female. Alright, so you see, in one case it just shows her coming, in the other case it just shows him coming. So that is how you have to do it throughout the game in order to have that character show up in scenes. It's the 2 jump system. Alright, good luck.